Alright, so here's the deal. I found this steering wheel adapter that's for I want to say it's for like 80 something to 01 or 04 Mustang. And I noticed that it had the same circle slot type deal for the Escort. The only thing is that it's actually slightly larger than the one for the Escort. I knew that the horn and all that stuff wouldn't work. I didn't really care. I just needed something to fit the shaft. I wanted a low profile adapter to fit the dished wheel I bought. So this was the only one that looked like it was close, so I figured I'd give it a shot, and it doesn't work. So what I decided I'm going to do is I'm going to take the factory wheel, I'm going to remove this boss and install this boss into this adapter, making it work for my car. Figure I can machine that flat. Make a little indent the same diameter of this, make a hole the size of this little lip, just press that through, have that stick out the back, and somehow maybe figure out how to adapt this to the back of this so that it works the spring thingy. So it should be interesting. Alright, so I'm using my phone to film this because I left my camera at home. Anyways, I threw the adapter in the lathe, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this post off. I've already taken the steering wheel hub, cut that off the steering wheel, and machined it down. And it's got two flat spots on it where it was welded to the steering wheel, but they're machined down basically flat. So the idea is to machine this down and then machine a indentation in this guy, the diameter of this part, and plop that in there. And take a few screws and bolt it in, and hopefully that'll work. Alright, so I've gotten everything machined off, and I went ahead and did a preliminary pass for my final cut. So this will basically fit in there, like so. Obviously, just need to make it a lot deeper. That's should be pretty good. So let's make that a lot deeper. Go ahead and sink this all the way in there. Then I'll drill out the threads in here, drill two more holes, and go ahead and countersink this guy so I can fit some Allen heads in there, and then I'll tap this guy, bolt it in from the back. Alright, so here's the adapter. Here's the space I machined out. Here's the piece that slides over the steering column that I cut off the factory steering wheel. It just fits in there, nice and snug. Figure I'd use a couple of Allen head screws. I'll sink them into this so they sit flush, or mostly flush. And I'll drill two more holes so I can get 4 bolts in there to hold it. Then I'll tap this. There's quite a bit of meat in there. And, that might work. And this is the back of the steering wheel cover. So I figure I can cut this piece off so that I can still use the factory clock spring. Alright, so I got this guy all drilled out. Should fit in there. Sit not super flush. It should sit down in there a little bit. I should open that up a little bit more. Yeah, I'll probably go ahead and open those up a little bit more. So, anyways, I got my 4 holes drilled. I just need to get this guy aligned. Now I just need to get this aligned. Drill and tap the adapter. And probably epoxy this guy on. We should be ready to rock. Alright, so I went ahead and machined out a little area for the horn connector, and I drilled 2 holes. I tapped one and I'm about to tap the other. Should hold. That one, that pisses me off. Alright, so this is the finished product. I messed up on that screw hole, on that hole there. Slightly misaligned, but I think 3/4 20s are more than enough to hold that in place. I mean, I think the shear rating on 1/4 20 is like what, like 1600 psi, and the clamping force is like 200 and something foot-pounds. So, and you know, the rotational torque of this isn't going to be placed on these bolts. You know, the crevice that this sits in is machined flat. The little hub is also machined flat, so it's a real nice tight flat surface, so that those 2 surfaces made it and torqued down against each other is what's actually going to absorb that rotational, that torque. So I think that's pretty sturdy. I went ahead and took this plastic piece off the steering wheel, just plopped it on, sunk a little screw in there to keep it in place and keep it tight. And alright, so here we are at the car. Here's the steering shaft. This is the little plug that plugs into the steering wheel. 2 of these are for cruise control. The other one's just a power source for the horn, or the other one's just a thing for the horn. So that's why I machined out this crevice here, so that that would fit in there. I'm just gonna throw some shrink wrap over the 2 I'm not using, and I'm gonna solder a wire and shrink wrap that so that, you know, that can be fished through there and out there, so that I can have a horn that actually works. And these 2 little posts here are what engaged in here into there, and the purpose of that is just for the, you know, disengaging the turn signal. So, and I'll show you why I went through all the trouble of using this guy as opposed to the other guy. Let me go grab that. So this is the Grant steering adapter, and you can see how much taller that is. I mean, I'm not even sure why it's that tall. I mean, there's frickin' nothing in there. There's really no reason for it to be that fucking tall. But anyways, super tall. Doesn't have the provision for the horn. Maybe for an older Escort, that's, you know, this would work, but wouldn't have worked with mine, at least with that guy. But mainly, you know, I just didn't want to have this big, huge, gangly adapter on there sticking out real far. But anyways, I'm not going to press that on because I can't, because of the harness that's down there. But you know, you would have had that big, huge adapter, and then the dished wheel. It just sticks out really far, you know. Can't reach the turn signals, you know. It's nah, you know. So
So that's why I went through all the trouble of adapting this adapter to work, so that I would have a nice low profile adapter. Fits right on there. All I gotta do is put the nut in there. Oops. Torque all that down. Then I'd have a nice flush, you know, be a lot better, you know. I can actually still touch the turn signals, actuate all that stuff. So, and I'll have a horn that works. So yeah, that's that. Probably need to go through and put some thread locker on everything and need to finish all that up, but for the most part that's done. Obviously I haven't made much progress since I got the engine in. I got turbo mounted just for shiggles. Harness isn't connected to anything. I may or may not do a video on the harness. I mean, it's a factory harness because the Escort I'm using is a plug-and-play unit, and you know, it plugs into the factory harness, so all the sensors and stuff are basically exactly the same, other than the addition of the GM air temperature sensor. I don't know. Yeah, that's another video. It's just tedious and it's really hot, and it's not really very fun being out here doing tedious work when it's so hot and sweltering. Plus I had to get a new radiator because I'm an idiot. So yeah, basically the radiator I had on there is one of those little Civic half radiators. I had a bunch of sludge in there and I was having trouble getting it out, so I poured some muriatic acid inside, and it kind of reacted like a volcano and just started spewing acid and sludge and crap everywhere and smoked out the garage, and I had to run down the street to not die. So I couldn't rinse it out as fast as I wanted to, so of course it discolored the aluminum inside, kinda. The fan's still fine, but anyways, I just went ahead and bought a new China radiator. So I'm waiting on that to come in. Other than that, yeah, that's pretty much it. Haven't really been working on much. But yeah, whatever. As soon as I find some motivation, or as soon as I get a nice cool day, I'll come out here and get this thing running.